In my previous videos, I have shown you the two extreme ends of Honda Rebel's lineup, starting with the smallest one, the Honda Rebel 300, and making my way up to the largest one, the Honda Rebel 1100 DCT. Now, if you ask me which of the models in Honda Rebel's lineup is the most popular one, the most sought after one, and the one that holds its value the most, well, it's neither of those two bikes. They are great, fantastic motorcycles, but neither of them are the most popular Honda Rebel. The most popular Honda Rebel is the one that's in front of us, the Honda Rebel 500. And this is what we're going to be doing today. We're going to go wheel to wheel and everything in between on this brand new 2024 Honda Rebel 500 base model to figure out what makes this particular model the most popular Rebel in the entire lineup. And we're going to take a look at it from all the angles and check out every electronics and features it offers. Then I'm going to get on it, go out there and ride this bike and put everything we see to test. And then I'm going to quantify my thoughts and give this Rebel 500 my Emmy score. Let's start by talking about what's under the hood, what's powering this Honda Rebel 500. And no, it's not a 500cc engine. You have a 471cc parallel twin that makes about 45 horsepower and about 30 foot-pounds of torque. When you compare this to the wet weight of the motorcycle, so the weight with gasoline and with all the oils and fluids included in the motorcycle, it's 408 pounds. Not too bad, but also not exceptionally light. Expected of a budget-ish cruiser, but anyways, the power to weight ratio is not too bad. It's connected to a 6-speed slipper assist clutch. Both of those terms have things to do with the design of the clutch plate. Slipper clutch means the clutch plates have ramps built into them so that when you are downshifting too much, more than you should for the speed you're going, the plates don't engage. They will slip off of each other until the speed of the wheel and the speed of the engine come to some sort of agreement somewhere in the middle, and only then will the clutch plates engage. The act of slipping off of each other is intended to prevent the wheel from locking up, so that's why they call it a slipper clutch. Assist clutch also has something to do with the design of the plates, in which the momentum, the acceleration of the engine presses the clutch plates more onto each other. The purpose of this system is so that you can get away with using weaker, softer springs, because the momentum, the motion of the bike forward already is pressing these clutch plates onto each other. So you don't have to use really tough springs, and not using tough clutch springs means the clutch pull is easier on the clutch lever, the only interface, user interface you have with your motorcycle when it comes to the clutch. It's easier to pull, so they didn't have to use hydraulic clutch, which saves some money, and they pass on to you that saving they make by using a cable here. But anyways, coming out of this parallel twin, you have two exhaust pipes all blacked out from start to finish. They come out here, join here, go into this almost unnoticeable catalytic converter. Despite the ever-restricting emission laws around the globe, Honda is doing a great job designing this catalytic converter so that you barely notice it, in case you don't want to take this system off. Because after all, this is a budget-ish bike. There's no point in spending $2,000 for a full exhaust system on a $6,000 motorcycle. So they designed it so that it's stock and acceptable the way it is, so you don't have to change the full exhaust system on this bike. But anyways, it comes out into this unnoticeable catalytic converter, and it goes to this rather controversial looking muffler that's right behind me, and for good reason, because it's not that good looking. The only really downside of this cruiser, but again, spend $200-300 to put a better slip-on, I guess. But anyways, this is how the 2024 Honda Rebel 500 sounds. When when Honda was designing this motorcycle, I'm very grateful for the fact that they looked after the customer and they designed this bike so that it's super serviceable and it's easy to maintain without having to refer to your local dealership because it's some sort of specialized tool that you have to use to take a cover off just so you can access something very simple like a battery. Over here on this bike, everything is serviceable, everything is easy to see and access. You don't need any specialized tools. You barely even need to take any fairings off because it doesn't have any. And I'm really appreciative of that. You can look around this bike and see examples of how easy things are to adjust and to monitor and to check. Before your motorcycle riding session, you are expected to have some basic knowledge of motorcycling and to know how to adjust like the clutch cable tension, the throttle cable tension, how to change your own oil. Otherwise, it would go to waste the design, the beautiful design and exposed design they have done. You can look up here, there is the clutch cable, you can look at there is the throttle cable, you can look at down here, there is the oil filter. In fact, you don't even have to refer to your manual to find the oil filter type. You can literally use your eyes. It's right here, could not be more exposed. You can just read it and it tells you what kind of oil filter you're using. It's essentially the case with everything on this bike, super serviceable, and that's owed to the nice design of Honda Rebel, one of the many factors why it became such a popular bike. Now let's talk technology, where this bike is pretty lean on. It doesn't have that much going on for it. I suspect for budget friendliness and also because this bike is not really a performance oriented bike, so all the performance technology is out the door. The anti-wheelie, traction control, launch control, all those things are out the door. And for technology that would match the profile of a cruiser, like grip warmers, seat warmers, navigation, cruise control, things like that, the more expensive Honda Rebels do have those, but that adds, of course, a couple $1,000s to the price point and also makes the bike more complex to maintain, which I suspect is a turnoff for a lot of the potential prospect owners of this motorcycle. The SE version not only has ABS, but it also has a more complex looking headlight cone, and it has fork boots and a couple of minor cosmetic changes to it compared to the base and the ABS model. This one is the base, so it doesn't even have ABS. But anyways, this is the technology package on this motorcycle, essentially none. What you do get is this LCD screen up here, and you also get LED headlights, tail lights, turn signals all around the bike, and the license plate illumination is also LED. So that's the amount of technology you get. Now let's talk ergonomics, because that's another big topic when it comes to a cruiser. You want to cruise around, you want to be comfortable, so it's important how the riding triangle works here. This is a bit of a sportier type of cruiser. You're not going to be laid back with highway pegs way up there. You're going to have a bit of a more crunched up triangle. It is the exact same triangle compared to the 300 and compared to the 1100. Essentially, when you put your feet up on the peg and you put your hands on the handlebar, this is what you're going to look from the side profile. You do have a little bit of a straight up angle to your back. I would say the upper half is pretty comfortable, a little bit of a cramped leg situation going on. I don't know if Honda Rebel has any aftermarket pegs that would be extended up here. Again, pros and cons to those highway pegs. They do make your legs sit at a more comfortable angle, but you have a little bit less control when you are low speed maneuvering the bike. So, ups and downs, give or take, this is the ergonomics, the riding triangle of the Honda Rebel 500. With all of that said and done, I think you and I are ready to go ride this motorcycle. But before we do that, a big shout out and thank you to Everett Powersports for allowing us to take a closer look at this brand new Honda Rebel 500 with 0 miles on the dash. And of course, for the Honda Rebel 300 and the Honda Rebel 1100, the entire series is now complete. The trio is complete. Go check these 3 motorcycles out and see which one is the right one for you. But today is Honda Rebel's 500 turn, so let's go ride this bike. If you want to check out Everett Power Sports, the description section of the video contains a link to this particular bike, to the 300 and to the 1100 if they are still available, and to their blowout sale that's ongoing right now. Take advantage of that. Maybe the motorcycle you're looking for is on a good sale. Go check Everett Power Sports out in the description section. And now let's go and ride this bike. Now I'm expecting this bike to be pretty much a cross between the 300 and the 1100. A predictable ride. So it's essentially a 300 with more power, right? Let's see. Alright, so you don't have any of those fancy schmancy things. Quick shifter, DCT. I want to say the technology package on this bike is close. Okay, let me put it this way. This bike is not a exact average of an 1100 and a Ninja and a Rebel 300, because that means it should have about half as much technology as the 1100. It doesn't. Okay, it's almost as bare bone as the Rebel 300. So it's essentially a 300 with a 471cc engine on it. That's essentially it, with a little bit of a beefier frame, obviously, to support the additional weight. But it's not a smaller 1100, it's a bigger 300. I say that because when you move up to the Rebel 1100, you get a ton more power and you get a ton more technology out of this bike too. Okay, you don't get that here. Now I leave it to you, up to you guys to do the math on a piece of paper. On one axis, go write the number of technologies that each bike offers you, and on the x-axis write all the prices of these three bikes, and see which bike really offers you the most bang for your buck, essentially, is what I'm trying to get at. Because this bike at 6,400, I believe the 1100 DCT is around 1100, almost 10,000 some $100, 10,100, 10,200 actually, and the 300 is about $3,000 cheaper than this one. Okay, so what does that amount to when you consider the technology differences on these bikes? I feel like the 1100 is a little bit out of character for a Rebel. It's too loaded with technology. This one is not. This one is built in the true spirit of a Rebel, which should be bare bone with nothing. If you haven't seen a motorcycle ever before in your life, and this is your first time trying this, would be probably a little too much power. So that's who a 300cc motorcycle is for. Like somebody who wants to take the MSF course would probably use a Rebel 300. I keep saying Ninja 300. Rebel 300, this one might be a little too powerful for them. But if you have at least like 6 months to a year worth of experience riding a motorcycle, you could totally move up to this one. And now, on to the Emmy score for the 2024 Honda Rebel 500. In the commuter category, the Rebel 500 comes with no advanced electronics, just LED lighting for better visibility, street-friendly ergonomics, a comfy seat, a simple LCD screen, segmented fuel gauge, slipper and assist clutch, and a liquid-cooled engine that can help you in traffic. Just the basics. Honda has the largest dealership support in the US, and the Rebel is one of their longest-running bike models in the lineup, which means it is a well-tested platform. It is priced at around $6,500, which is a fair MSRP. I am giving it an extra score just for how easy to maintain this bike is. The Rebel 500 gets a 17 out of 20 in the commuter category. Now onto the performance/dope factor category. As for the performance tech and features, you essentially get nothing. Of the things that could help you on the racetrack, I can only think of the wide tires, and that's it. The Honda Rebel carries a moderate amount of power, torquey for sure, but not performance oriented as expected of a cruiser bike. Sitting at 408 pounds wet, this bike is much lighter than old school bagger cruisers. As for the design choices in marketplace, the Rebel comes in 2 colors in 2024, pearl black and matte green, and 3 trims that are basic, ABS, and ABS SE, giving you plenty to choose from. The styling is decent and conservative. The Rebel 500 gets an 8 out of 20 for the overall performance/dope factor category, and it sits here on the list of other cruisers I have reviewed slightly below the Rebel 300 because this model does not have ABS and it is heavier than the 300 and has a similar size fuel tank despite having a larger engine than the Rebel 300. The first step in picking out the right motorcycle for you is to get to know yourself. If you find that you prefer a conservative look, an inexpensive and reliable mode of transportation, and an easy to work on middleweight, middle displacement cruiser, then you can never go wrong with this Rebel 500.